There are some things in life you only understand after it's too late. Not because you're not smart, but because no one ever explains them to you in time. You keep making the same mistakes, trusting the wrong people, doubting yourself, thinking that one day everything will just make sense on its own. But it doesn't. Until one day you look back and realize there were patterns, there were lessons, there were rules, quietly shaping your life the whole time. And if you had understood them earlier, things could have been very different. So in this video, I'm going to share 10 rules of life I wish I knew earlier, not from books, but from real experience. And the first one is something almost everyone struggles with. Have you ever looked at someone and felt like they were given an easier life just because of how they look? Maybe they walk into a room and instantly get attention. People listen to them more, they seem more confident, more accepted. And then without even realizing it, you start comparing. You notice your own flaws more. You become more aware of how you look, how you sound, how you come across. And slowly, that comparison turns into doubt. You start holding yourself back in small ways. You speak less. You avoid certain situations. You tell yourself, maybe I'm just not that kind of person. But here's what most people never stop to question. What if the problem was never your body to begin with? Because the truth is, you didn't choose your body. Not your face, not your natural build, not the way your voice sounds. And yet, this is the one thing you will carry with you every single day of your life. So the real question is not whether it's perfect. It's whether you're using it or fighting it. Because the moment you start seeing your body as a tool instead of a limitation, something changes. You stop shrinking yourself. You start showing up differently. You begin to take space in your own life. And that's when you realize it was never about having the perfect body. It was about what you choose to do with the one you already have. There are moments in life that feel completely random, like things just happen out of nowhere, and you're left there trying to make sense of it. A plan doesn't work out. Someone you trusted lets you down. An opportunity slips away, even when you did everything right. And in those moments, it's easy to feel like life is being unfair to you. You start asking questions that don't really help. Why me? Why now? What did I do to deserve this? But what if nothing in your life is actually random? What if every situation, even the uncomfortable ones, is trying to teach you something? Because if you look back at your own life carefully, you'll start to notice a pattern. The difficult moments changed you. The uncomfortable experiences made you stronger. The things that didn't go your way forced you to grow. Not immediately, but over time. That's when you begin to understand something important. Life is not just happening to you, it's training you. Every mistake is showing you what doesn't work. Every challenge is pushing you to adapt. Every failure is quietly preparing you for something better. But here's the part most people miss. They focus so much on the pain that they completely ignore the lesson. And when you ignore the lesson, life has a way of repeating it. So maybe the real shift is this. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You start asking, what is this trying to teach me? Because the moment you do that, life stops feeling like a problem and starts becoming a guide. Think about a decision you regret. Something you wish you could go back and change. Maybe you trusted the wrong person, chose the wrong path, or walked away from something that actually mattered. And when you look back at it now, it feels like a mistake. Like you messed up. Like if you had just done things differently, your life would be better. But here's a different way to look at it. At that moment in time, you made the best decision you could. With the awareness you had. You didn't know what you know now. And that experience, as painful or uncomfortable as it was, gave you that awareness. It showed you something you couldn't have learned any other way. Because real learning doesn't come from being told what's right. It comes from living through what's wrong. A child doesn't learn to walk by reading instructions. They fall. Again and again. And slowly, their body understands balance. In the same way, your life experiences are building your understanding. So what you call a mistake, life calls a lesson. And the moment you stop seeing your past as something to regret, and start seeing it as something that shaped you, a lot of unnecessary weight disappears. You stop being so hard on yourself. You stop wishing to go back. And instead, you start moving forward with more clarity. Because nothing you went through was wasted. It was all preparing you for the person you're becoming. Have you ever noticed how the same kind of problems keep showing up in your life, just with different faces? Maybe it's the same type of relationship that keeps hurting you. The same habits that keep pulling you back. The same situations that leave you thinking, why does this always happen to me? At first, it feels like bad luck. Like life is just being unfair again and again. But if you slow down and really look at it, there's a pattern. It's not the situation repeating. It's the lesson. Because life doesn't move forward just because time passes. It moves forward when you understand something. If you don't learn self-respect, you'll keep attracting people who don't respect you. If you don't learn discipline, you'll keep struggling with the same goals. If you don't learn how to let go, you'll keep holding on to things that hurt you. And every time the lesson comes back, it feels a little heavier than before. Not to punish you, but to get your attention. Because life is patient. It will give you the same message, again and again, in different forms. Until one day you finally see it. And once you do, the pattern breaks. The same situations stop controlling you. The same mistakes stop repeating. Because now you've learned. So maybe the real question is not, why does this keep happening to me? Maybe the real question is, what is this trying to teach me that I'm still not seeing? Most people live with a quiet belief in the back of their mind. That one day, everything will finally make sense. That one day, they'll have it all figured out. No confusion. No mistakes. No uncertainty. Just clarity and control. But if you really look at life, you'll notice something strange. That day never comes. Because every time you reach a new level, new challenges appear. When you were younger, your problems were different. Simple, smaller, easier to understand. But as you grow, your life expands. Your responsibilities increase. Your decisions carry more weight. And suddenly you're learning again. In a different way. At a deeper level. Someone who builds success now has to learn how to handle pressure. Someone who finds love now has to learn how to maintain it. Someone who becomes confident now has to learn humility. The lessons don't stop. They just evolve. And this is where many people get frustrated. Because they keep waiting for a moment where life becomes easy. But life was never meant to be fully easy. It was meant to be experienced and understood step by step. So instead of chasing a point where everything is perfect, you start accepting that growth is a continuous process. You're always learning, always adjusting, always becoming something new. And strangely, when you accept that, life feels less stressful. Because now, you're not trying to finish life. You're simply living it. There's a quiet thought that most people carry without even realizing it. I'll be happy when I get that job. When I earn more money. When I move to a better place. When my life finally looks the way I want it to. And it feels logical. Because right now doesn't feel enough. So your mind creates a version of the future where everything is better. But something interesting happens. You reach that place you once dreamed about. And for a moment, it feels good. But then slowly, that feeling fades. And without noticing, your mind creates a new there. A new condition for happiness. A new version of, once I get this, then I'll be satisfied. And just like that, the cycle continues. You keep chasing, keep achieving, but never really arrive. Because there is not a real place. It's an idea your mind keeps pushing forward. And while you're focused on that distant version of life, you quietly miss the one you're already living. The conversations, the small moments, the progress you've already made. All of it passes by unnoticed. But the shift happens when you realize something simple. If you can't feel content here, you won't feel it there either. Because nothing outside you can fix what you don't understand inside. So instead of constantly chasing the next moment, you pause. You look at where you are. And for the first time, you actually experience it. Because this moment is not a waiting room. It's your life. Think about the last time someone really bothered you. Maybe it was something small they said, or the way they acted, or just their presence. And for some reason, it stayed in your mind longer than it should have. Now think about the opposite. Someone you admire. Someone who inspires you. Someone who makes you think, I want to be like that. Both of these experiences feel completely different. But they have one thing in common. They are both showing you something about yourself. Because people are not just people. They act like mirrors. The ones who trigger you often reflect something you haven't understood or healed yet. Maybe it's insecurity. Maybe it's ego. Maybe it's something you don't want to accept. And the ones you admire, they reflect your potential. They show you what you're capable of becoming. But here's where most people get stuck. They focus only on the other person. They blame them, judge them, or put them on a pedestal, instead of asking a much more powerful question. Why does this affect me so much? Because the moment you start looking at people as reflections, everything changes. You become more aware, more calm, more in control of your reactions. You stop reacting blindly and start understanding yourself more deeply. And that's where real growth begins. Not when the world changes, but when you start seeing yourself more clearly through it. At some point in life, you realize something that's not easy to accept. No one is coming to fix things for you. Not your friends. Not your family. Not the perfect opportunity you're waiting for. And for a long time, it's tempting to believe otherwise. You tell yourself that your situation is the reason. Your past is the reason. Other people are the reason. And maybe some of that is true. But even then, nothing changes. Because as long as your life depends on something outside of you, you stay stuck. You wait. You delay. You hope things will somehow get better on their own. But they don't. The shift happens when you stop asking, who is responsible for this? And start saying, this is on me. Not in a negative way, but in a powerful way. Because the moment you take responsibility, you take control. Now your actions matter. Your decisions matter. Your habits matter. You stop being a spectator in your own life. And you start becoming the one who shapes it. It's not always comfortable. In fact, most of the time, it's hard. But it's the only place where real change begins. Because your life doesn't improve by chance. It improves by choice. Most people spend their lives searching for answers. What should I do next? What's the right decision? What if I make the wrong choice? So they look everywhere. They ask other people. They watch videos. They read, they scroll, they keep searching, hoping someone will give them clarity. And for a moment, it helps. But then the confusion comes back. Because the real problem is not a lack of information. It's a lack of connection with yourself. Deep down, you already know more than you think. You can feel when something is right. You can sense when something is off. You can tell when you're being honest, or just avoiding the truth. But that voice is very quiet. And your life is very loud. Constant noise. Constant opinions. Constant distractions. So instead of listening inward, you keep looking outward. But the shift happens when you pause. Even for a moment. No distractions. No input. Just you and your thoughts. At first, it feels uncomfortable. But slowly, something becomes clear. Your mind settles. Your thoughts become sharper. And that quiet voice starts to come through. Not perfectly, but enough to guide you. Because the answers were never missing. They were just buried under everything else. And once you start listening, you don't feel as lost anymore. If you look at your life honestly, you'll start to notice a pattern. Not in what you say you want, but in what you actually do every day. Because life doesn't respond to your wishes. It responds to your actions. You might say you want success, but your habits might be choosing comfort. You might say you want change, but your routine stays the same. And without realizing it, you keep getting the same results. Not because life is unfair, but because you're asking for the same things through your behavior. Your actions are your real requests. What you do consistently, what you tolerate, what you avoid, all of it is shaping your reality. And this is where it becomes uncomfortable. Because it means you can't blame luck anymore. You can't keep waiting for the right time. You can't expect different results while making the same choices. But at the same time, this is where your power is. Because if your actions create your life, then changing your actions changes your direction. Slowly but surely. You don't need to control everything. You just need to be honest about what you're choosing every single day. Because in the end, you don't get what you hope for. You get what you consistently ask for through your actions. These are the rules. Simple, but not easy to accept. And most people only understand them after wasting years. Now I'm curious, which one of these hit you the hardest? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to keep improving your English while understanding life at a deeper level, subscribe to English Tide. Because here, you don't just learn words, you learn how to think.